RFM, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much, Bill. So happy to be here for another episode of Mormonism After Dark.
After dark, we should probably have some music playing, shouldn't we?
I like the music. That's
Yeah,
what
let's
makes
do it.
this show unique among all other podcasts.
Yeah, I'm really excited for tonight. We probably ought to explain to the audience sort of why we're at least a couple minutes sort of getting started.
I'm happy to do that if you'd like.
Please, I do. I want you to do that.
Okay, so here's the deal. On this show, Mormonism After Dark, we make a point of not preparing for the show because it's going to be audience driven by phone calls and all this wonderful stuff that you know and love. But we did a little bit of preparation. We couldn't resist, and we apologize for that. There's something that's been late breaking right before the show started and last night. It has to do with stuff going on in the post-Mormon podcasting space. And I think it's something where we need to do just a little cleanup work on this and address some issues that have arisen without hopefully being too judgmental or harsh. But I think we need to talk about it.
Yeah, and I think it's a big deal.
Once we present it, then give you the chance to call in and tell us your thoughts about it.
Yeah. And so where would you want to start on this, RFM?
Okay, well, this has to do with something that's been going on between two post-Mormon podcasters. There's a feud like the Hatfields and the McCoys going on between Steve Pinecker from Mormon Book Reviews and Dives from the Mormon
News Roundup.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the Mormon News Roundup. Thank you. And there's been stuff going back and forth, and I think it boiled over last night with a podcast that was put up by the Mormon News Roundup. And it seemed to be, well, it's over the top, in my opinion. It's crossed a lot of lines. And I think that we need to bring it up in order, hopefully, to help everybody get along and not go crazy in this space and bring opprobrium upon us from other people, which would be justly deserved if we didn't talk about this and try and set things straight.
Yeah, and I think the first video we wanted to show was sort of an intro of him doing a video on us, which I don't know if that I thought,
right?
Yeah, Dives, yep. Dives or Dives, yes. So he did one on the two of us, and again, I don't think it was funny, but I didn't find it offensive. It wasn't something that I felt like crossed a line, but it'll give, I think, viewers at least a little bit of a flavor of sort of how he's doing his new brand of the Mormon News Roundup.
Right, and what he'd done is he had taken one of our early episodes of Mormonism After Dark, and he'd taken some things that you and I were talking about back and forth and took clips out of that and then made it into an interview, like he was interviewing us, and the clips he was playing were responsive to what he was saying or the questions he was asking as opposed to the original context. Once again, I didn't find it horrible or offensive or anything like that, but we want to play a little clip. This is about a couple or 3 weeks ago this one went up.
Yeah, here it is.
I can't hear that, Bill.
Oh, give me a second. I know why.
Let's start with you first, Radio Free Mormon. How do you like my look here? I put on a new hat for this episode.
Yeah, you look great. You look like a cross between Don Johnson and Kwaku L tonight.
Well, you definitely made my day.
You make it cool.
And my next question is to you, Bill. I don't understand here. Your moniker says Kwaku L.
I won't have the charisma or the great sense of humor.
Well, I'm not sure about that. I mean, Kwaku has a lot of charisma.
We can no longer be friends.
And Bill, have you ever gone to one of Kwaku's infamous raves that he hosts in Utah County?
That's the hip thing that all the cool kids are doing today.
I'm sure you're going to fit right in with those young college students. And I'm just going to put this right.
So it gives folks kind of a flavor for what he's doing. And again, I say it not funny, and there I am sort of smiling. There's a part or two where it's sort of you can't help, but he's taking pieces of you and making them
he's very creative. He's very intelligent, and obviously this takes a lot of work on top of everything else to come up with this. And it goes on for, I think it's 27 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of work. So I want to focus first off on how hard Dives, I'm sorry, it's Dives, and I never know how to pronounce it correctly. But how he does his podcast and the work he puts into it and the quality of the production of the podcasts that he produces.
Yeah. And like you said, I think the time is significant. I mean, knowing sort of behind the scenes what it takes to do what we do, there's an extra layer of sort of cutting things out, timing it all right, that he is putting a ton of effort in. So, okay. So there's that one. And then where do you want to go from there?
Well, things have started to get a little worse, a little more difficult than that. That was not difficult at all. I thought that was somewhat humorous. And but then apparently he's had a run-in with the people who run Signature Books. And by that, I mean Barbara Brown, who I think is the CEO over there at Signature Books. She's also a historian in her own right. And there was also Devery Anderson, who's an important figure in as a historian, and not just Mormon history, also African-American history. He wrote a very important book about the case of Emmett Till, who was a very young man. I think he was 14, maybe 13 years old, African-American in the South, 1955. And he was lynched summarily by a bunch of white men who thought that he had acted discourteously to a white woman. So it's a horrible story, and it's one of those stories that's so horrible that it may have accelerated the efficacy of the civil rights movement, as slow as it was in coming. But this accelerated things because it was so off the charts and so wrong. There was no way anybody could possibly rationally defend this. So Devery Anderson, the book on the left, the story of Clyde Kinnard, a slow calculated lynching. So that's a different book about a similar kind of thing. And the book on the right, Emmett Till, the murder that shocked the world and propelled the civil rights movement. So there's Devery Anderson. And I think Devery Anderson had hooked up or tapped, maybe I should say, Dives to do some, what was it? Oh, it was to do advertisements on his show for Signature Books. And after around 10 months of that, they dropped him before the 12 months was up. And he took offense at that. And then he created a video about it that went up just a couple weeks ago. And there were places where he went over the line in that. And we have a clip of one of those places where he talks about Devery Anderson in extremely unflattering and offensive terms. And we're going to get that clip. Once again, we've just been working on this in the past hour.
As my boss's Signature Books, and he's absolutely incompetent as a manager. He might be a good author. I don't really know. Everything that I said about him is true. Barbara Jones is the head of Signature Books. She's more likely to
Bill?
cancellation.
Yes.
That is too far into it.
Gotcha. Let me go back to the beginning.
And is there any way you can turn it up? And also turn off the music in the background for this, okay?
Yeah.
This is also very serious. We shouldn't have the music in the background. It also makes it hard to hear.
Yeah, thank you.
What he's saying. Okay, thank you.
We don't have a lot of bad blood there. We won't be doing business with them.
Can you stop for a second there?
That's just from...
Now, that's not AI on the right. That's Al. It's AL. And Al is his co-host or co-producer for the show, who's talking to him, Dives, about the fact they're not going to be doing any business with Signature Books anymore in the future. Now, if you go back to the beginning, we got the context. I think this should make sense now.
We don't have a lot of bad blood there. We won't be doing business with them in the future. But that's just from learning a lesson about the kind of business that they do.
I really doubt, Al, that Devery is behind the cancellation because I just don't think that he cares. He's been on the podcast. He didn't care. He prefers touring around hawking his expensive books to mostly poor Black folks, trying to rub shoulders with C-list civil rights activists, all wrapped up in a white Mormon saviorist complex. Devery fundamentally did not do his job as my boss's Signature Books, and he's absolutely incompetent as a manager. He might be a good author. I don't really know. Everything that I said about him is true. Barbara Jones is the head of Signature Books. She's more likely the impetus of the cancellation. It appears that you're the director of a small publishing company that publishes only 6, maybe 10 books at most. You're not running IBM here. This is a small publishing house with only a few employees. And it appears that she never listened to one episode of this podcast for an entire year.
This isn't even like Penguin Books. Signature Books is real small.
Yeah, so you're supposed to be the director of a small influential publishing company. Act like it. Do some.
We don't have a lot of bad blood there. We won't be doing business with them in the future. But that's just...
that started over again. Sorry.
Right. Okay, so that was really the clip of all clips from that show, although most of it is in a similar kind of vein. I was surprised to hear this being stated. And by the way, I want between us, and I want to focus on myself. So I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you and to the audience, that I would like this discussion to focus on the substance and the things said as opposed to the personalities involved. But there he went after in very unsavory terms, both Devery Anderson, who I don't think deserved any of that, and
Yeah.
also Barbara Brown. Now he said Barbara Jones. I think it's Barbara Jones Brown, but she's the one who's the head of Signature Books and the one who
Yeah.
he surmises must have given out the hit on him to pull the plug on having him advertise for Signature Books. Okay, so now, do you want to say anything about that before we go on to the latest thing?
Only that the racial connection to the history of what's happened to Devery and the company sort of publishing a book on that history, and the things Dives is saying, there's a disconnect there that at least it occurs to me. It feels like there's a disconnect there, and there doesn't seem like appropriate ways to be talking about, to sort of insinuate almost sort of a racist angle to things when someone's really trying to write a history that hasn't been done and to tell a story that hasn't been told. And we should raise those sort of voices up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the latest thing is that what I started with was the tit for tat or whatever's going on. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes between Steve Pinecker and Dives. I think they've got history, but this boiled over yesterday or last night when Dives posted a video on his YouTube channel. It's about 2.5 minutes long. It's extremely offensive. It goes way over the line in a lot of respects, I think. Now, I do want to say that I think it's a good thing that apparently Dives has taken this video down after it was up for about 24 hours or so. But I want to show it to you here. So we can't play it on the screen, but I do have it here on my phone, which I'm going to hold up to the camera so you can see this. And I'm going to move the microphone up here, so hopefully you can hear it as well. So let's see. We've got this up here, and it starts right off. And this is Dives acting as if he's Steve Pinecker. And, you know, Steve Pinecker lives in Florida. They just had a huge flood go through, and a hurricane, which precipitated the flood, excuse me. And Steve had put his mom into a shelter to take care of her. Steve had gotten out of the path of the hurricane, and they're still trying to recover from it. Apparently, there was an earlier video that I don't have access to that Dives made that was insulting to Steve Pinecker, and Steve Pinecker posted about it on his Facebook page. That prompted Dives to do the second video, which I do have, which I'm going to try and show to you on my phone, in response to the post that Steve Pinecker made on Steve Pinecker's Facebook page. I think I've got this right so far. So let's see how we can do this. And the problem is I've got to hold it up here for a second for the camera, my camera, to focus in on the screen and not on me. So let's give this a go.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's me, Stevie P, the host of the Mansplain Book Reviews, where a gay dude encounters the Restoration. At least 20 people are dead from the latest deadly hurricane here in Florida. I know. Let go and let God. But I'm not here to talk about them. Hell no. I want to talk more about, well, me, of course. Oh, and my trailer park mom, too. Like and subscribe. I just gotta share my latest unhinged Facebook post with y'all so you can understand.
I think it started over again.
World suffering.
No?
Pictured up in my fanciful imagination. Jesus, take the wheel.
Oh, yeah.
I got blindsided by another podcaster while my mom and I are recovering from a major hurricane. That's one of the most despicable things I've ever experienced. Shame on you. You are a truly vile human being. I'm sure you even knew I didn't have power, so I couldn't properly respond on video. I know that's kind of harsh, but this really hurts, and I'm not a happy camper right now. It's important that people feel my raw emotion at this time. The worst part of this whole thing is that my invisible celestial best friend isn't even listening to me anymore. Actually, the more I think about it, maybe he never was. The past year has been very difficult for us. We thought we had many friends. Turns out we have only a few. It's okay, though. God is good. If any of you out there know the identity of this bastard podcaster, drop me a note to my Grindr account. Thanks, Celestial. How the heck is Benedict quoting Paul?
Oh, that's someone else.
On those lines?
Sorry. That's a different podcast with someone else on it that just
Yeah.
started after that one ended. So once again, I want to say, first off, this is really, really awful. The faux gay voice that he's using for Steve Pinecker, who is an open homosexual man, and going after his mom, the Grinder account, all this stuff was way, way over the top and across the line. As far as I'm concerned, now I'm the last person in the world generally to criticize somebody else and what they say about other people because, I've been known to do that myself. But even I can tell that this is too far. Not only that, sometimes I'll say things off the top of my head. I might regret them later. I might not. But on the other hand, this is very calculated. It's obviously very produced. This was done with malice aforethought on the part of the podcaster there, Dives. Once again, I want to say I'm glad that he's taken it down, but this is starting the ripples because Steve Pinecker on his Mormon book reviews just did a live show before this show. I think it was a couple of hours ago that it aired, and he's responding to that video. So now we just want to talk about it here a little bit, give you a chance to talk about it. I want to, in my most non-judgmental way that I can, express my disapprobation of this video and that it's wrong, it's too far. I'm glad he's taken it down, and that I think that we in the post-Mormon space need to do better. And I think we can do better. And I'll try and do better, but I never did anything that bad. What do you think, Bill?
When I listened to that and when I saw that earlier, the immediate reaction between you and me was that crossed the line. That doesn't. You can just sit with what that feels like. And if you're a halfway sort of rational about it, you can realize you feel yucky inside when you listen to that. And so, it's what causes us to notice that it isn't right. Is that you can tell it doesn't feel right. It crosses some sort of line. You're muted.
I was going to say, you sound like a Mormon now.
You tried it. I tried it again. What makes it cross the line is you can just tell it was a low blow.
Absolutely. Mormonism didn't come up with the idea of the human conscience.
No. So I'm with you. We need to do better than that. I have rarely seen in this space something that crosses the line to the degree that I think that does.
All right. So that is what we wanted to start off with. And we figured there'd probably be a lot of people who wanted to make comments about it. I see there's a lot of comments going on in the live chat about this. But I mean, I don't feel like I can look myself in the mirror if being a part of this community, this post-Mormon podcast community, if something like this happens and I don't say that I think it's wrong. The First Amendment gives Dives the right to post things like that. It also gives me the right to criticize it and say that I think it's inappropriate and should not happen.
Yeah, I'm 100% of the same opinion. Okay, so the phone lines are open, folks. The number is 662-667-6667. And or you can just dial 662 Mormons, and would very much appreciate if anybody wants to call and talk about it. I don't even know what to sort of add to that. So I think letting people sort of share their 2 cents is the best thing.
And once again, if we can hopefully focus not so much on personalities, but on the substance of things and try and be constructive as we can be.
Please. So there's that. And yeah, 662-667-6667. I'm trying to think of like maybe just to take a little segue and give people a few minutes to call in. Any other like moments you can think of where you sort of sense like the Metcalf is butthead comes to mind, sort of a moment where you go like it just went too far.
Mm-hmm.
There's something. Yeah, it's just a low blow.
Well, we all get into it with people that we see as our opponents, right?
Yeah.
Like I certainly get into it with Ward Radio, Psych Ward Radio, I call them. Sometimes I call them the Midnight Morons.
Yeah.
We've talked about the appearance of, Jonah Barnes, etc. However, I would never, ever, do some kind of faux gay voice for somebody who was homosexual. And I certainly wouldn't bring their mother into it. I mean, there are some standards, right? You never bring somebody else's mother into it unless you are spoiling for a fight.
Yeah. You made it personal, and that admits sort of like where the motivation of the thing comes from. And it has to be something bigger than, I mean, again, people can do whatever they want to do, but also you get to be criticized if you cross a line where you look like you're being malicious. Yeah.
Yes. You look a lot like that.
You look a lot like you're being malicious. So there's that. And folks, if you're having a problem with the phone lines, I have a hard time believing there's not things you guys want to say in terms of we have no problem on other shows. So
in the live chat, can you let us know if you're trying to call in and can't
please
reach us?
Yeah. Let us know that, folks. And
Other
then
than
I'll
that,
try
are we
to
going
start
to use your cell phone again? I mean, I use my cell phone. I guess you could use yours.
Yeah, my phone is connected to it, and that's where the stuff comes through. So, folks, 662-667-6667.
Logan says, if one of Ward Radio's parents were in Florida during the hurricane, I know Bill and RFM would wish them well. You're right, Logan.
Yeah.
Actually, if one of the Ward Radio guys, if they were in Florida during the hurricane, I would wish them well, as well as their parents.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're all human beings. You know, we're all just trying to do the best that we can and stumbling along. And every now and then we color outside the lines, and hopefully somebody else will be there to say, you know, you're coloring outside the lines. Let's modify that behavior within the realm of social propriety.
Yeah. Somebody here says, I missed those videos of his that you mentioned, but I've listened to his lives before. I think he would apologize. So, and you think, you know, he certainly gets the chance to do that. And I can't speak for him, but it seems like that's probably necessary to start to put that back together.
Well, maybe nobody wants to talk about this.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing anybody in the live chat who's saying that they're trying to call in and can't reach us.
Gotcha.
Could somebody call in?
I love RFM. I love how RM you state the obvious, because it really is the better approach than sitting here stammering.
Jeez, call in.
Tell them just to call the show. No, drop the link like the last time. Here, let me do that. That's a different way to do it. So we'd love to.
Okay. We're dropping the link, baby.
And by the way, it may be just a matter. Folks may just need a minute to sort of process what that was and sort of make sense of it.
I know. And it was all kind of compressed, and it was all kind of bleh in your lap at the top of the show. But, you know, there's not that much else to say about it with what we have access to. We wanted to present it to you so you can make any comments that you want. If you don't want to make any comments, that's fine. But at least would you call the show and let us know if the line is working?
Yeah, please.
I mean, there's 300 of you out there watching. Surely one of you has a telephone.
I love it. Can you think of any other moments in Mormon history where that sort of shows up, where you kind of feel like, I'll tell you, like Brigham Young screwing with the Mountain Meadows Massacre Monument, changing the words, or at least stating that rather than I am the Lord and vengeance is mine or whatever, and I will take a little, that whole thing was just a low blow. It wasn't appropriate.
No. And saying it wasn't appropriate is the understatement of the century. Yes.
Yeah. Everybody can sort of sit with like, no, that shouldn't have happened. That's not right. That's wrong. Any others you can think of?
Oh, I'm sure I can. I mean, I was involved in a debate with the Midnight Mormons back when they were still the Midnight Mormons back in Utah in November 2021, when Kwaku El decided to attack my character by announcing to the audience that I had represented a young man who was accused of killing his sister.
Meanwhile, you're a defense attorney. It is your moral obligation in the job to present the best defense for your clients, and you're a defense attorney. They deserve a lawyer. They get the right to be represented, and they have a right to be represented by a really good lawyer who does things the right way.
Yeah, that's the Sixth Amendment, the right to an attorney. Absolutely. And I didn't even respond to that because the entire audience started booing him.
Yeah.
When he said that, everybody gets that.
Yeah.
Nobody needs my help to paint that picture for them.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking, Captain Hook, is asking, is Psych Word Radio a channel? Yes, it is. It's a YouTube channel, and it appeals to, well, let's not say who it
Snarky
appeals
believers would be what I would say.
to what?
Snarky believers.
Snarky and young and immature
Yeah.
believers who will believe anything that these guys say, no matter what the facts are. So I would say it's an apologist kind of thing. It's
Mhm.
sort of a tabloid type of channel. It talks about things that might be in the
A
national
lot of ad
enquirer,
hominem,
yeah,
a lot of
thumbs through it
attacking
when
the
you're going through
critics.
the grocery checkout stand. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. I said a lot of ad hominem, a lot of attacking the critics rather than deal with the issue directly.
Oh, yeah. They're
Yeah.
famous for saying some video of theirs is a rebuttal to somebody else, and they never rebut anything they say. They just call them names.
No. And it's obvious they didn't even watch the original video they were critiquing anyway.
Right. And the reason it's obvious is because they say it.
Yeah.
We've documented that in the past on prior shows.
Yeah. Well, we do have some phone calls, so let's
thank
let's
God.
go to let's go to them. So let me put one up here.
We depend on you, you know.
Yeah. Caller, are you there?
Yeah, this is Jack Bill.
Jack Bill, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Now, I need some help, Bishop Reel, because I'm having a doctrine crisis. And I was hoping you could counsel me and guide me in the right way.
All right. So
My understanding,
doctrine?
well, it has to do with the original plan of salvation.
Okay.
Now,
Is your
it's
call
my
connected
Bishop,
to the topic we just talked about, or no?
No, I'm not. I wasn't interested in calling in on that topic. Is that a problem?
No, not a problem. I'm just wondering, RFM, if you want to continue with that call, and I don't mean like end.
Oh,
it
yeah,
with
let's
another caller.
continue with it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
This
Go
is
ahead,
for-
my
This
friend.
is for the listeners. We did something that we don't normally do, and we put together something for people to comment on if they're interested. If they're not, this is your show, so go ahead. Whatever your point is,
Perfect.
Jack.
Thank you.
Thank you, RFM.
Mhm.
So my understanding, Bishop, is that in the plan of salvation, I guess Heavenly Father had a plan and said, "Whom shall I send?" And Jesus stood up and said, "Send me, and thy will be done." And then Lucifer stood up and said, "Send me, not one soul will be lost, but everyone's going to be forced to do the right thing." And he also said, "I'm going to take all the glory," which obviously offended God. And so he was kicked out of heaven. Now, the beginning of my doctrine crisis is God obviously performed the first catch and release of someone that did something wrong, and he rewarded Lucifer by giving him power on planet Earth. Now, I guess for the last 7,000 years or so, or 6,994 years, Lucifer's been going around stealing souls. And it appears that God is going to be adopting Lucifer's plan modified. So the reasoning in the church is that Lucifer's on the earth to tempt us. Isn't that right, Bishop Reel?
Lucifer is here to be the opposition in all things. Yes.
That's right. But I guess God, seeing all of his children over the many centuries being dragged down to hell or being tempted by Lucifer and failing, he decides to adopt Lucifer's plan modified. Now, in the millennium, God does what he did not do at the beginning. He's going to bind Lucifer, and he's going to put him over here so we can't tempt anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still going to be babies born that are going to be raised. Now, God couldn't say, "Hey, I'm going to use Lucifer's plan." No. He can't do that. He needs to modify it so he can make sure Lucifer gets zero credit. So it's really Lucifer's plan modified, and God is merely manipulating the people to do the right thing rather than forcing them. Because with Lucifer out of the way, there's no temptation. So all of the babies born in mortality during the millennium aren't being tempted. There is no sin during the millennium. Everyone's going to be translated. It's so wonderful. But in the plan, God goes, this kind of looks like Lucifer's plan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release Lucifer at the end, as if somehow that makes it all good. The problem is people get translated. They're changed in the twinkling of an eye. And Lucifer being released at the end isn't going to affect those people. They're already translated. So that's my doctrinal crisis, Bishop. Can you assist me so I can remain faithful and strong in my faith?
Yeah. God is a God of mystery. And my 2 cents is that you're going to have to probably wait till we get to the other side, and then you can ask God how that all works out. And I'm just going to trust that when we get there, that there's going to be good answers.
Yeah, if I'm understanding you correctly, I think this is a great question that you have. Is that the idea is that the plan of salvation that Satan proposes, or Lucifer, in the premortal existence in that grand council in heaven, is that just leave them to me. I will save them all so that one soul will not be damned. Everybody's going to be saved, and I'll do it. It's sort of been added to, I think, a little bit by Mormonism, and talked to about how, well, he wouldn't be tempting people. Nobody would be tempted to do anything evil. Therefore, everybody would be saved. And yet that applies all the way up to the millennium, when, according to the same Mormon doctrine, God is going to come again, Jesus, and bind Satan for 1,000 years. And everybody who gets born during that 1,000 years and lives during that 1,000 years, Satan's bound. So they're not going to be tempted at all. That is Satan's plan for 1,000 years. So the first 6,000 years is God's plan. God doesn't like Satan's plan, so he chooses, well, it's his plan. He goes with his plan. But then for the last 1,000 years in the millennium, he's going to say, screw this. We'll go with Satan's plan anyway. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yes, Arthur, that's exactly correct. And that's the crisis of that's my doctrine crisis. Not a faith crisis, my doctrine.
Well,
I really appreciate
okay?
Bishop Reel's counsel, but you've actually outlined exactly what the problem is.
Yeah,
and I'm having a lot of difficulty with this.
Yeah, but his approach isn't going to keep you in the church. So you got to go with my approach. My approach is the better approach. You came to your bishop and you wanted a good bishop answer, and I'm here to keep you in. So that was best I could do.
Yes, it was a great answer. It was a great answer. Although
I was just trying to steel man your position back, Bill.
him.
I think that's a great question. I've never heard it before. Now, here's my answer after steel manning your position. You ready? You ready to write this down? You got some paper? You got a pen, Andy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. The answer to that is on a need to know basis, and you don't need to know.
That is the answer, by the way. That is their answer in 1,000 ways. That's it.
Very good. Well, this is the Endangered Species Jack Bill, and I appreciate you taking my call. And the counsel, Bishop Reel, was excellent at RFM. I love the straight shooting facts that you outlined with my doctrine crisis. And unfortunately, Bishop, I don't think anything's been resolved, but I am going to stay in the church. So thanks so much.
I'm glad. I'll see you next Sunday, brother.
The best bishop never resolved anything.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
By the way, I was not in favor of dumping that call. I wanted to just check in and see if you wanted to make sure that maybe if we had a call in the call bank that wanted to talk about the first topic, that we sort of put that first to sort of keep things together.
Yeah.
But when you shared the 2 cents, like play it, like I didn't care either way. I wanted to check in and see what you wanted. So that worked out good.
Play it,
all right,
Sam.
Here we are. So the next call here is Tim. Tim, are you there?
Yes.
Okay,
Tim.
go ahead, my friend.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Is that Tim Rathbone?
Hello. Yes.
Good to see you. Good to hear from you, Tim Rathbone.
Watch my interview on Letter Day Digest. They interviewed me Wednesday, and it dropped today. So I'll be self-serving.
Wait a second. Latter Day Digest. Is that the show with Gene Judson?
Yes, Gene and Debbie Donovan.
And Debbie Donovan, right? She's rising in the polls. She's gone from being a viewer and she's in the live chat a lot. I don't see her tonight, but that's okay. She's probably busy doing other things. And now she's hosting or co-hosting podcasts. Well, wonderful. That's great. So that just dropped today, you say?
Yes, just dropped today.
What is the single most exciting and important thing that you said on that podcast? So we don't have to watch it.
Well, we can either talk about the Wilkinson Diaries, the Lucy Mack Smith manuscript history, or the Temple Endowment in 1990. Those are the three things.
Okay, let's forget about the first part. Now, the Temple Endowment in 1990, that's when they took out the penalties and the character of the Protestant minister, correct?
Correct.
Does this have to do with the personal experience you had, Tim?
I sent my recommend to a friend who was no longer a member of the church, who went into a certain temple and taped the whole thing and typed it up and sent to the tenors. So And if you read an introduction to that with the tenors, it kind of alludes to me. I think that was in an Elvis Quorum president. I was a war clerk or Elvis Quorum something at the time, and kind of obliquely mentions that in there. So,
Okay, Tim, time out.
What?
Are you saying that prior to 1990, you knowingly and intentionally gave your temple recommend to a non-member so that they could go to the temple and tape the endowment so that you could then transcribe it and send it to the notorious anti-Mormons, Harold and Sandra Tanner?
No, I did. Well, he was a former member, and I did not transcribe it. He did.
Okay, so that sounds like two distinctions without a difference. You did this knowingly, right?
Yes, I did it knowingly. You bet. Yeah.
Did you confess this to your bishop?
Pardon?
Did you confess this to your bishop?
No.
Is this the first time you're telling the story?
This is the second or third time.
The other two were to legal representation to make sure that there was attorney-client privilege and it didn't make its way anywhere.
Wow.
Well, I don't care anymore.
No, I didn't think so.
I don't care.
That's amazing.
I had members in my ward who were workers in the LA Temple, and I also was one of the ones that talked to the LA Times to tell them about the changes.
Mm.
You know, and they were talking to me about it, and it was really hard for me not to laugh at this brother and sister when they were talking about what the antis are doing. It was just,
Oh my gosh, because it wasn't the antis, it was you.
well, me and others.
You dirty scoundrel, you.
You were still laughing about it. Who was this non-member, this former member who went into the temple instead of you to do your dirty work?
I don't know if I can say his name. But
You don't remember it?
He's promised not to divulge.
Works back in. He is very high in the House of the Temple back in Washington D.C. He's the archivist. Now, if you want to do research, he is the archivist to the House of the Temple back in Washington D.C.
What is the House of the Temple?
That's where the Masons basically had their headquarters in America.
So he's a Masonic archivist. This temple has nothing to do with the LDS Washington, D.C. temple.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, they say confession is good for the soul, Tim.
Yeah. Spectacles, testicles,
Yeah.
wallet, and keys.
Exactly.
There we
Now,
go.
what movie is that from? What movie is that from?
I don't know. Is it Ace Ventura Pet Detective or something like that?
I don't remember, but it's in a movie.
Yeah, it is. It's how I, by the way, again, it's how I remember that I've got all my things. I've got my glasses. I've got, my wallet, my phone, my keys. Oop.
Exactly.
Someone calling in.
No, this is a different thing. So
Is that David calling
I'm
in?
going to end that. Oh, I ended.
Tim?
Give me 2 seconds.
Tim?
Try to. No, I ended it. You have to give me.
Sorry, Tim. I think you probably said everything you wanted to say and more.
Yeah. That was me having a personal phone call come through and not pushing the right button to get rid of the right one.
Oh, shoot. I hate when that happens.
It does happen every once in a while. So now I'm going to try to get back in.
I want you to take a personal phone call on the air sometime.
Here we go. Now I'm going to mute all of this. Give me 2 seconds.
Paracord Princess is saying Gran Torino.
All right. Now I think we're
Great
ready.
movie,
to
by the way.
Okay. So Paul from Phoenix, I think, is the next caller. Let's see if this works. Paul,
Cultural Hall is saying Austin Powers.
There you go.
Maybe it shows up.
Hello,
You
guys.
know, baby,
How you doing
don't make
tonight?
you randy, do I? Yeah, go ahead,
Can you
caller.
hear me?
I can hear you, Paul.
Can you hear me, Bill? RFM.
Paul.
Loud and clear.
Is
How
this
you guys
Paul the
doing?
alien from last week?
No. I'm down here in Phoenix, Arizona. I wanted to give you guys a
Right, where
call.
all the
I wanna thank
aliens
you
are.
for what you're doing. Yeah.
Say that
What's
again.
that in New Mexico? What's it
Yeah.
called? Where they had the alien crash landing in 1947 or so. What's it called? That little town?
In New Mexico.
I should know
I
this.
don't
but it's
know.
escaping me.
Well, now Phoenix, Arizona. I don't know. I'm not that familiar with New Mexico. Is it Roswell or?
Yes, Roswell. Thank you. See, it's down there where you get all the aliens
Okay.
and they're crashing in their aircrafts and causing all sorts of trouble.
Now that's New Mexico, right? Not Arizona, is it?
Yeah, but from the Pacific Northwest, you all kind of look the same to me.
Well, you're in Utah. You guys are in Utah, right?
No, Bill.
No.
Bill is unfortunate enough
Bill
to
is-
be in
yeah.
Utah. I,
So-
however, am blessed to be in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, but Portland, no, Washington up there.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, but I want to thank you guys for what you're doing. I think it's my family's very strict Mormon. They still are. I never was, growing up. I mean, I started drinking beers probably at 12, in high school, and was just one of those kind of Mormons, Jack Mormons, I guess you'd call it. But
we should swap stories.
I still have that.
We should swap stories. I started drinking alcohol at 12 years old too, so maybe we would be able to connect over some of the
Hey,
things
Paul.
that happen when 12-year-olds start to drink.
Paul, where did you get the beer?
Yeah, well, mine went into high school, but it got heavy. But it's
Paul.
terrible cold alcohol.
Paul, where did you get the
You know,
beer?
It's sad. I almost died.
Paul, where did you get the beer?
Where did
Well,
you get the beer? Probably from Tim.
Well, I had friends that looked older.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Italian, my Catholic, Jewish friends.
My friend's older brother.
But yeah. But it did. It almost. I haven't had a drink in 13 years. I'm 58 now. But it did. It almost killed me. I got acute pancreatitis and almost died.
Well, at least I've got something to look forward to.
Yeah. But I really respect what you guys are doing. I mean, I think you do a great service. But I think it's a great show. I come from a different area. I didn't find out probably until 2005. I started doing the research and doing deep research. The rest of my life until probably 2005, I just thought, okay, it's true, but I like drinking beers and I like the party scene and so I just looked at it that way. But in 2005, I really started doing heavier research and Sean McCraney, actually, which I've seen you guys have worked with him before too. Didn't he do the debate that you did?
He moderated it, yeah.
Yes, and he volunteered his church to hold it at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, he really, you guys come from a different area. Like, you were very strict, and I just was never really into it. Even in seminary and high school, I thought, I'm just not into it. I just never was really into it. But I respect the fact that you guys were full on in, did your missions, and
one of us did. One of us did, Paul.
Yeah, one.
One of you did. Okay. The other one didn't.
One of us served as a bishop too, though, RFM.
And one of us is excommunicated.
You're right. Yeah.
You win.
I mean, it is. That's
nailed it.
I mean, to be a bishop, imagine that, being a bishop. I mean, that's pretty. And then RFM, weren't you an apologist for a while?
For a long while.
Well, both of us were apologists, RFM. Not just one of us.
I didn't say you weren't. I was simply responding to the question.
I know you. Yeah.
I was an apologist for over a decade.
Much longer than me.
But Bill worked for FAIR.
I figured it out quicker than you.
Yeah, but that's between the two of us, Paul. Bill did work for FAIR. He worked for the apologetic organization FAIR. And as between the two of us, he got erased from FAIR.
FAIR, by the way.
Fired by them.
FAIR, by the way.
Oh, really?
Anything but witch.
That's why we did a podcast. By the way, Paul, we did a podcast about that. I think it's on Radio Free Mormon. It's called Fair is Foul, which is a nice reference to.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Macbeth, baby. Macbeth.
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah,
time of year. And
yeah.
once again, I'm reading a Macbeth. So I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, I just think it's, I just think that, I mean, I can go back. I'm related to Brigham Young, and I remember my
You and
grandma
half
always
of
Everybody
America.
else on the planet.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I know. That's the crazy thing. And I don't, and you wonder with the inbreeding up in Utah, I do wonder about that, how, I think you guys talked about that one time, or maybe it was John Dehlin that was talking about how that isn't more of a problem in Utah, because everybody's probably related,
The only thing that gets you out of Mormonism faster than being a Mormon apologist is working for the SCMC, the Strengthening Church Members Committee.
They're serious. I mean, those guys,
really, man?
they're serious.
I think my cousin works for them. I believe he lives in Utah, and I think they hired him.
What's his name?
To get
just a first name, by the way. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just a first name so I can say the next line.
I'm trying to do that.
But don't do that.
And his address.
I can't really.
What's that?
You think you might know?
No, if you just said like Gary or Frank, like we don't know your name, so we certainly don't know his name.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's
that's too risky.
I don't know if I should even give.
No, totally. Let's just say it's Gary. Man, Gary, if you're listening out there, we're it's what a chance.
I have to say, it's kind of scary though when you have family and people when I was watching the whole thing with Nemo, and it's like he still wants to be Mormon, right? Well, doesn't he want to get back in and LDS? He wants to be Latter-day Saint, right?
Yeah, I don't know what Nemo. I don't know that. I don't know what Nemo wants to do.
I think he may have said that, and I think he's appealing his excommunication.
Yeah, I just haven't heard him speak on it.
Yeah, I think something like that. But I find that kind of crazy, man, when you find out the whole thing has been rotten from the beginning, I mean, it's just the whole thing has been of fantasy, from the beginning, of treasure seeking and everything. I don't know. It really is. I find it fascinating.
Totally.
Guys like you.
Yeah, totally.
Well, thank you. Paul, the next thing you're going to be telling us is that Santa Claus isn't real.
Yeah, you're going to really ruin our Friday night.
Well, yeah, I won't say that. I appreciate you guys doing this on a Friday night when you could be out. You could be out on the town.
That's why we're not doing this on a Saturday night, Paul.
Paul, there's no place I'd rather be than here with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well,
no, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you a quick question, if you don't mind. Just now, when you left the church, and I've seen different people. In fact, there was an interview. I don't know if you saw that interview. John Dehlin, I think, did an interview with a guy that was really high up there. Like, what do they call that when they're in Area 70 or something? He was an area authority.
Okay, I think John. Okay, look, I do not know all of the 100,000 episodes of Mormon stories, each one 6 hours long. I don't have an encyclopedic recollection of all of them.
Yeah.
Do you know what he's talking about? I know that John Dehlin did interview an apostle and maybe even the president of the reorganized church, the Community of Christ, but I don't know if he's ever. I don't know that he's ever interviewed a sitting area authority.
No.
This guy left the church because he found out.
Hans.
That's it.
Yeah.
And he left because he found the truth. And this guy, I think his family, he set his family down and he told them, and they freaked out. I think one of his daughters fainted.
Like his wife went out with him, but the rest of them, a lot of his family stayed in and gave him a hard time.
I think his wife told him to get another place. His wife did.
You may be talking about the individual who revealed the second anointing.
Tom Phillips, stake president.
Tom Phillips.
Yeah, he's just the stake president, but he did receive the second anointing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. That's what it is. You're right. Okay, I was mistaken. He was a state president, and he got a second anointing, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I just thought people like that, and his wife though, I just the strength that you would have to have, that your wife is still very strong and believes in it. That's got to be tough. Now I don't know if it was that way. Was it that way with you guys when you left? I mean, were your spouses? Were you married at the time when you?
I thought you were going to say when I got the
or-
second anointing.
Right. That's what I was going to
Oh,
ask,
no.
but I knew what your standard answer was going to be, which you were going to deflect and obfuscate and dismiss my question, and you might even change it.
Well, you're a defense attorney, right? Retired defense attorney, so
I know those mechanisms well.
Really,
They were
the
used
defense
on me
never
over and
rests,
over.
by the way.
No, he doesn't even take a nap.
Yeah. But you know what? It would be really hard, though, for someone. I can see that, especially if you found all this out and you're leaving and your wife really believes in it still. That must be a hard situation.
There are so many people. I haven't had that experience myself, but there are so many people who do have that experience, and it is gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. It must be very difficult. But yeah, man, but I think you guys have a great thing going here, and I keep up the good work, and I respect you for what you did. That you were at that point though of being apologists, and finally I guess you finally said, wait a second, these guys are right. Why am I trying to change their thinking?
It was more than that. It was that side plays dirty and this side plays fair. Like that was what drew my attention.
When I was an apologist, let me say this, Paul, and then we'll drop you because we got some other people waiting. But let me just say this. When I was an apologist, what I learned as an apologist was how the anti-Mormons used all these logical fallacies and tricks in order to deceive the Mormons. One of the great disappointments in my life was as I grew and continued to learn more, and I found out that the apologists did every single one of the same damn tricks that they accused the anti-Mormons of doing. Not that the anti-Mormons didn't do them, but the apologists did them just as well.
You know who isn't doing
it? Who's not doing it?
You and me putting the shit up on the screen and walking people through it step by step and having acknowledged through bit by bit of audio and bit by bit of video and bit by bit of images, showing everybody sort of the journey that all that went on. And like, that's the truth. That's what it is. You can't argue it. It goes one direction. Anyway, there's my rant.
You guys are giving the truth. All right, guys. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Keep
have
up
a great night.
Work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for calling in.
All right.
I see we have in the bottom window there. We've got
let's take MX first.
We've got Diamond Dave.
We do. I was going to go to MX first only because he's been waiting longer.
I'm sorry, what?
I was going to go to MX first only because
you do whatever you want because you know you're in charge.
No, I'm not in charge.
No. Oh, he just doesn't have a picture, so I didn't see that.
Yeah, you're good. Yep. MX, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi.
Hey, how are you? Hey, how's it going?
Good. It's actually after dark here in Australia because it's Saturday morning now.
Oh my goodness! Look at that.
I hope a dingo didn't eat your baby.
On your face.
What's that?
Oh, so RFM's just looking absolutely flabbergasted that I'm here talking to him.
I am, and I'm worried that a dingo ate your baby.
A dingo?
No, my baby's in her bedroom. But I did just feed my pet kangaroo.
You have a kangaroo, really?
No.
Oh. You have to be very jealous.
I'm a skeptic at heart, RFM. You believed it. I was like,
everybody has a kangaroo in Australia.
At least that or a koala.
Yeah, that's how we get to school.
Get right in the pouch.
Da-da-dun.
Look, I just want to say you guys are just amazing. Absolutely amazing. And you've helped
I owe
me
most of that to him.
So much stuff.
Wait a second, Bill. She's telling us how much we've helped her. Go ahead, please continue.
Oh, like you guys and John DeLynn and Nemo and Cara Burrell, you guys.
Mostly us, right?
Oh yeah, mostly you are a fan, definitely.
Mostly him. Oh, goodness
RFM's
gracious.
a prophet.
I am,
And
but mostly I'm a seer.
You are. You see everything.
Well, I see some things. A lot of times I get blindsided, especially in my personal life, as my 2 divorces will
Yeah.
attest.
Oh, same. Don't we all?
Well, I mean,
We're
not quite too.
I really like the comment you made about RFM about how Mormonism didn't come up with morality. And they
Right.
just act like they do.
Well, they took the human conscience, which has been with us for a long time. They slap a label on it of the light of Christ, and then they copyrighted it.
Yeah. And then published it everywhere.
Yes.
And then charged us 10% for the privilege.
Right.
Man,
And
it sends out door-to-door salesmen, and they pay the company to sell the message.
oh, it's multi-level marketing at its best.
It's good to be the king.
It's why religion is such a good racket. The people you should be paying are paying you.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lyric from a song in Sweet Charity which goes, and the voice said, "Daddy, there's a million pigeons waiting to be hooked on new religion."
You only got to get 100 of them, right? That's
Well, I think maybe we need to come up with our own new religion.
yeah, but I'd want to unionize it. You know?
Oh, totally.
I've decided that if I have my own religion, I'm going to have the sacrament, but it's not going to be bread and water. I think it's going to be something like chocolate.
Oh, I'm there.
Chocolate and red wine.
Nice.
Ooh.
And
Aussie
nobody's
red
sharing,
wine.
no common cup either, right, RFM? Like, we're not doing where everybody puts their mouth on the thing and we pass it around. And
Can I say, I think Mormonism did come up with a good idea. I don't know that they came up with it or if they borrowed it from somebody else, but the little cups, the little plastic cups that are individual to you.
individual autonomous cups.
I think that's great. I'm not crazy about the little teenagers who God knows what they've been doing with their
What were
hands.
they
Remember
doing
last
now?
time they washed
Oh
it
my
was breaking the bread, and we got to eat that crap.
And
I'm
that
not
bread
sure
is
about that.
wet. That bread has got some moisture to it. It's
Oh,
those guys. I'm a little nervous about the 16-year-olds in our church.
Yeah, but the water's pretty good.
The water's
oh my
fine,
God.
but a little red wine wouldn't hurt anybody.
I think we can fix that by everybody gets individual bottles of wine.
Oh, hey, that's
Even
great. You
better.
can sip on it throughout the service.
And people are going to say
Yeah,
it's
no
expensive.
16-year-olds touching it.
People are going to say it's expensive, but this is the church that's got 265 billion. It can afford a few wine bottles per member each week.
Yeah, after a while, the cops will catch on and they'll be parking their squad cars outside the church after service ends.
I mean, we've bought, well, I'm not going to say we, but the church has bought a lot of rural land. Surely they can afford a few wineries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So whatever was good for Brigham Young should be good for the rest of us.
MX, why do you use the acronym MX?
Oh, look, I like a bit of anonymity. I'm from Perth. It's a very, very small city. And the Mormon community there is very small as well. And I just want to protect my family who are still believers.
And I'm sorry, I understood that.
Yeah.
And I expected that. I was just wondering why the MX. By the way, Perth, isn't that where Skylab came down back in 79?
Oh, it could have been. I don't know. I wasn't alive then.
Oh my God. Thanks a lot. Twist that knife. Bill's going to accidentally drop your call here in a second.
All right, here we go.
No,
That's
MX.
okay.
Why MX? Not why the anonymity, but why MX?
I think maybe possibly MX might be initials or something too. So then can't really answer that either.
It's just because I like being androgynous and confusing people with my gender. And, you know, you don't, if you're a woman and you say stuff, then they're like, oh, you're an anti-man. And then if you say something that's anti-man, oh, you're a Nazi feminist. And I just want to be judged as a human, not as whatever genitalia I have.
Well, MX, that sounds like the first and last letter
of your
of one of
words.
Superman's villains. But Peter Higgs, who's also an Aussie, he's down under. He says Perth, a sand groper. Do you know what that means?
Oh, yes. Yeah, okay. So the soil in Perth is basically crushed limestone. It's just white sand pretty much everywhere. So nothing really grows, but it's still beautiful.
It sounds
and
beautiful.
we've got a lot of insects called sand gropers. Have a
they're
Google and see what they
insects.
look like. Yeah, they're really ugly.
Do they bite?
I've never been bitten by one, but that's a fair question considering it's Australia. Most things will bite you here.
Yes, absolutely they will.
But yeah, no, if you Google image a sand groper, you'll probably be disgusted. But yeah, I don't know why we get called sand gropers, but yeah, it's a thing.
Well, I want to say thank you for the call, and I want to say don't be a stranger. Like, call back. Really appreciated the phone call.
Anytime, guys. Happy to chat with either of you.
And what time is it there right now? You say it's tomorrow morning? Is it Saturday morning there?
11 a.m. Yeah, 11 a.m. Saturday morning. I've just had my third cup of devil's bean juice.
Devil's what juice?
Devil's bean juice.
Bane?
Bean.
Yes, Bane. Devil's Bane juice. What is that? Is that coffee?
No, yeah. I stole that off Rebecca Biblioteca. She's a
Do you
champ.
drink it? Do you drink it black, or do you add some creamer? Is there any sugars, or what's your recipe?
Just a bit of splash of milk.
Just a splash of milk. For folks who care, I use a little almond milk and some blueberry cobbler creamer, brought to you by Walmart.
So what you're saying is you like nut juice in your coffee?
Now you're gonna have to buy me dinner.
Yeah, coffee in the
anytime, Bill. Come on down. You're single. I'm single. Let's go out for dinner.
Okay, let's do it. What a fun call. Well, thank you, caller.
No worries, guys. Have a good one.
Take it easy.
Have a great day.
That was a great call.
Boy, Saturday morning cartoons are almost over in Australia.
Yeah. Can I tell you a little story?
Hi, so des.
I don't know what the hell. I think we just spoke Japanese for the first time together on this show, RFM.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, a cool thing. My dad's still alive, by the way. But a cool thing my dad would do is on Friday nights he'd get me and my brother. There's only two of us. He was 4 years younger than me, and he'd get the TV guide and sit us down on the couch. And he would go, "All right, what time do you want to get up tomorrow?" We'd be like, "Oh, Dad, we want to get up by 7:00." So 7:00. We'd start there in the TV guide, and he would tell us what cartoons are possible to watch from the 7:00 hour. And we'd pick our favorite one. He'd highlight it so we knew what channel to turn it to. And then we'd go to when that show ends, and he would help us all through Saturday morning, pick out the shows that we liked. And when we got up in the morning, our TV guide had all these highlighted moments. So we knew exactly when our favorite cartoon started and ended. And we got to make informed decisions about what we would watch and how we would spend our Saturday. Now, that is amazing. From a kid's point of view, it was one of the most incredible things in the world.
Yeah.
But the other side of the coin is,
yes,
he was just trying to make sure that we didn't bother him in the morning, and him and my mom could just sleep just a little longer on a Saturday morning.
Okay, though this be madness, yet there's method in it.
Yeah, so there you go.
I like that. I had to do that myself.
Yeah, well,
my dad didn't help me.
No,
I'll tell that story, but I feel bad because Diamond Dave has been sitting down there. I think he's grown old waiting for us.
Oh man, yep. How you guys doing? You guys can hear me okay?
We hear you great.
Absolutely great.
Just listen to all the conversations, even watching the chat from when I first came in, just reminded me of my comment on the last video I said where both sides are sensational. People in the chat are talking about Bill's ass, and then RFM showed Dive's video, and now there's like this whole conversation. How is this not a tabloid is what I want to know.
Yeah.
Like,
so you don't think that there are moments where, okay, so Bill talking about his own ass is just trying to be funny, whether it is or not.
It's a joke. I like you guys. I think you guys
totally.
are great.
All right, gotcha.
I just think it's funny. Because
I've had maybe one sip too many, and so I'm going to take you too logically. And if you're being sarcastic, then I'm not going to pick up on
don't. I probably should take things more seriously.
I'll try and pick up on it for Bill. Okay.
There you go. Please, and thank you.
That's right. And by the way, this is kind of what we do here at Mormonism After Dark. We try and be a little bit looser, even though we're dressed to the nines.
Yeah.
And, we want to hear from you. Let people direct where things go. Sometimes we say things that we wouldn't normally say on a more serious, if I can use that expression, Bill, podcast. But yeah, I'm glad you appreciate it.
I appreciate it. And, as for the video, I don't really know how to respond to it because Dives has been kind to me. And from what I've heard from other people, he's a good person. I don't really know anything about Steve Beinecker. He seems like a cool dude. I actually came from his live over to this one and I was confused as to what was going on. I watched the whole thing and he wouldn't say who it was or what was going on. So I was confused. And that's fine. I mean, if he doesn't want to say, he doesn't want to say. But yeah, that video just kind of gave me a raised eyebrow because it's like, that's not something I expected from the Mormon Ex-Mormon space. Like I made a comment where that's like something you'd see in like the gaming sphere or like the music industry or something where it's more of, it's a bit more brash and it's a bit more in your face and it pulls other people in that aren't related. I don't know if that was his intention. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because I kind of got a little bit of a vibe that maybe it was part of a feud that he decided to use as a test for a potential content pivot in the future. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of out of the blue. So either way, I'm just like not mad about him, like just a little confused.
Yeah.
I don't hate him though.
I think that's a good word to describe how I feel as well.
Yeah.
Confused.
And hopefully nobody hates him. I mean, again, I don't think this is a bad person doing like evil or something. This is just for whatever reason, he sort of has a understanding of where a line is. And I think the general consensus would be that he was mistaken about where the line is.
It's possible. I mean, I don't know. You guys know this fear better. What are the chances he got hacked? I mean,
no.
Like he actually
fingerprint on it. Like,
okay.
It would be.
I know that happens too. So it's like,
it
was kind of hard for me to like, wait, he actually did this as opposed to someone hacking him and
doing it. It requires really some intentional part on his end for all of that to look and come off the way it does.
And I mean, it's definitely produced. I was just a little bit confused because like the style even didn't quite fit. And I, being on the autistic spectrum, I see patterns and there's some things that didn't add up.
He definitely did a show differently in the past, and this seems to be a new direction he's going in. And it's not just one video; it's sort of a host of them at this point, but it's a very different look comparative to his much earlier work of just doing the news show.
Yeah, I came into the Exmo bandwagon late, I guess, because I just float around. So like I've seen his more recent stuff more or less, and even this doesn't fit that. So
by the way, Diamond Dave, my experience has been, I'm not saying people never get hacked, but being a defense attorney for 34 years, I've definitely heard it brought up by clients as a reason that they didn't do this. My experience has been is that I was hacked is more often an excuse for having done something that they now regret than it is something that actually happened, that they
way
were
more
really
often.
hacked.
Oh yeah, way more often, sure. And it's true. That's why I worded it the way I did. Like, what is the possibility? Even if it's not zero, like
you're being kind.
I mean, he's been kind to me. I've got no stake in any of the fight or whatever this really is.
But he gets time and he gets to make a response, right? So he'll have to address it, and he can tell us, he can explain to us in a way that we all sort of go like, that makes sense, that it's something other, or apologize, own it, change your behavior and move on.
For sure. Yeah. So just
God knows I've had to do that on more than one occasion.
Yeah. I mean, I've had to do that too, especially in the gaming sphere, just because it gets way worse than that. So it's, it can get really, really heated. I would
want room that if any of us make mistakes in the future, that if we're sincere and we want to work past them, that there's forgiveness in the community for that.
Yeah. And that's the dynamic I'm learning to adjust to, because things seem to be way different here than more the, I don't know, mainstream secular entertainment side.
Right.
So,
well, we got a situation where in post-Mormonism, typically a lot of people are here because of how the LDS Church treats the LGBTQ community, which is not as equal members. They're second class members of the LDS Church. They do not have all the privileges that regular members have if they're straight. So, and if you're not here because of that, usually you're in this space and you agree that that's wrong, that the LDS Church does that. So what I would hate to see is that people in this space replicating the offensiveness of what the LDS Church does vis-a-vis the LGBTQ community and bring it into this space.
Yeah, and that makes
Lack of
perfect
awareness.
sense. Just kind of analyzing everything and reading the comments. The chat's been very interesting on it, so I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, and apparently it's not that interesting to anybody. Maybe it is in the live chat, but you're one of the first people to call and actually talk about that issue that we brought up at the top.
I'm choosing to word things. Yeah, I'm choosing to word things carefully because, like, the raised eyebrow and confusion I have, like, when I'm in the past in like Call of Duty chat lobbies or like in streams, there are levels of not necessarily rules of engagement, but there are levels of quote unquote clapbacks that you give. You generally don't go after people's families or very intricate parts about them, like their sexuality or lost loved ones or anything, unless you're responding to something of that kind. It's kind of like a tit for tat, and if they escalate, you respond, and it escalates itself, kind of a thing. So for it to like go to that level that quick
without any maliciousness on the other party.
Yeah, and well, that's part of the confusion because I like Dives, and I thought, what did this other party say to him that made him respond in that? Because I'm used to the whole, if we trade jokes in the chat, and that's fine. You insult me, I'll insult you back. You come after my family, I come after yours. But there's again the levels of that.
Some people have an agreement.
You just don't go 0 to 100 because then you look bad.
They send one of yours to the hospital. You send one of theirs to the morgue.
Yeah, pretty much.
But by the way, the players that you play against, you sort of have an agreement with. If you go there, I go there.
Yeah.
Steve didn't make any agreements.
Yeah, and I mean that I can't speak on.
Yeah.
But again, it was the 0 to 100 that caught me off guard. I'm like, what did Steve do to this? And and I saw the people in the chat because Steve wasn't saying anything, and everyone's like, he's way out of line. And I'm like, what's going on here? I clearly missed something.
Yeah. Yep. I guess we all wait to see if there's a missing piece.
So. Can I suggest that first off, let me say, I don't know what is going on behind the scenes, and I tried to make that clear when I was talking about it originally. I want to repeat that here. I'm just going to suggest that no matter what was going on behind the scenes, this level of vitriol and the level it was taken to in this video was unacceptable.
Over the top.
Regardless. What do you think about that, Diamond Dave?
I would agree, and I mean I've done similar things in the past, and that just comes with the territory.
Yeah,
I mean I don't know if it's necessarily my place to give advice, but having gone viral and taken massive hits for going after people like years ago to that degree, learning it the hard way, I would say just take the hit and tone it down at this point, because when you go after somebody's family or their sexuality or something that's like very, very personal, other people that see this, other people that see this that may have lost their mother, like they may not have, I can't talk right now. They may not have any idea what Mormonism is, but somehow they might stumble on this video and they may interpret it as an attack on all gay people. Now you have an entire army of that community after you, and you don't even know who they are. Or you might have other people never heard of Mormonism who recently lost their mom and see that. And then that, Mo, this is fake. Okay. This is a fake background. I'm not, I wish I had the money.
And it goes further with
He's kidding. He's
it's a StreamYard's background.
Yeah.
Guys. It's a
Yes, and it's
StreamYard.
the same
Yeah.
one that Divays has used or Dvays has used. And once
Totally.
again,
Oh,
nobody
really?
makes
Oh,
anything
that
else
is
to say.
awkward.
So you're at his
Whoops.
house right now, and
Oh,
that great.
you didn't know
that?
The last time you
I'm
called,
seeing the
I made a
chats, and I'm
joke.
like, what is everybody talking about?
The
I
last
am
time you
not at
called, I
this
made a
dude's
joke
house. I
about
don't
that, so
even
you
know
must
this
not have
guy's
gotten
real
that.
name.
Yeah, he didn't.
It's like, I don't even know this guy's real name. Why is everyone saying that this is like his house? No, it's a StreamYard's background. So you can't see my roommate gaming in the computer in the corner. I've got like dirty clothes behind me.
Well, thank you, caller. I'm gonna let you go and so we can move on to a few more and get a few more in. But thank you so much.
Have a good
Take
one.
it
Thanks
easy.
for calling, Diamond Dave, and thanks for
You
waiting
guys have
so
a good
long.
one.
I saw
And
you
real
down there.
quick, before you drop me, I just want to say,
Yeah,
I love dives. Steve seems cool. I hope you guys just either work it out or just, I don't know, but
yeah.
I hope they do too.
yeah.
How do you feel about me?
people. How do I feel about you?
Yeah.
Do you want an honest answer?
Oh yeah.
I generally don't feel things about people being on the autistic spectrum. Like I said, I generally look for patterns and just
But you feel
observe
things
how
about
people behave.
Divays and Steve. You just said one's cool and one you really like.
Yeah, those are well, I guess you could call those feelings, but like, I don't know. My brain just interprets it differently, I guess.
So you have no feelings for me whatsoever?
No.
How about Bill?
Like that. Not like that. No, not like that.
Oh, I didn't mean romantic.
I know, it was a joke.
Not that there'd be anything wrong with that.
No, like I said, you guys seem all right. You guys have been kind to me.
Yeah,
Chat's
we're
been kind to
mediocre.
me, and
How I feel.
because there's a consistent pattern that I've observed, I'll run with it and then just adapt accordingly. So that's why I said I like dives. Steve seems okay. I think I like him. I don't know. I've seen tonight's video and like that's it. So
yeah. Well, we like you. We're gonna let you go. Have a great night, Diamond Dave.
You guys have a good one. I'll be in chat.
Bye-bye.
Exactly.
Peace out. I think Diamond Dave is repressing his feelings for me, Bill.
It felt a little bit like that. Like, there was something just buried deep, it seemed like.
He doesn't want to confess it, but that's okay.
Well, him, I don't know, half of Ward Radio's audience.
Half of Ward.
Because the other half loves you.
Radio Free Mormon is going up tomorrow night. It's going to premiere tomorrow night at, 7:00 Mountain Time?
7 p.m. Mountain Time. You've got an episode releasing, and
I worked all day on it.
I'll tell you, I've had a conversation with you about what it is, and I think, folks, it is the coolest of ideas, and him and I had a lot of fun talking about it. I was quite impressed with the brilliance of Radio Free Mormon, so please check out tomorrow night, Radio Free Mormon.
It's titled Midnight Mormons Steal My Research.
Yeah, you dirty rats. Oh my goodness. And it's so good. It's one that really prompted a lot of thoughts. So I appreciate the work you do. We've got a few more phone calls, 3 more if we can try to sneak them in really quick. So Sarah, is that you on the line?
Yes, it is.
All right.
And now I have to listen to you again tomorrow. I mean, it's not
you have to
enough
listen to
Friday
radio.
night.
You act like it's a
Now-
bad thing.
I can't go out tomorrow.
That's good. If you can't go out tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh, you're saying you
Well-
can't go out tomorrow because you have to listen to me?
Well,
It's even
you
better,
said,
isn't it?
the best thing.
You can
the
always
best
catch me on the
collaboration
replay.
we have come up with.
You can always catch me on a replay. It's just you can't be in the live chat unless you're there at the premiere. But that's not the end of the world. You could always catch me, if you go to church, you can watch me during sacrament meeting.
Right. And it's not any reason to break speed limits or violate any laws of the U.S. government. Be safe out there, folks, and don't drink and drive.
Okay. All right. So the reason I'm calling you is because you begged for people to call and tell you what they thought about that video. And regardless of what Diamond Dave said, he said a lot.
Yeah.
No, you don't do that. You don't do that.
No.
I mean, you don't do that. You just don't. There was a time when we all said and did some pretty bad things, I think, when we were younger.
Well, not me. What did you do?
We don't do that anymore.
Yeah, listen.
I never did
Tell us
anything
your
like
list.
that. What did you do?
What's your black book say?
Well, those mean girls in high school. But anyway,
Yes, I know them well.
You don't,
Believe me.
you don't do that stuff. You just don't do it.
No.
So it's not like, I don't know the guy. I don't know what his reason is. But, that's like when people say, after the woman's been, bludgeoned by her husband, oh, he was such a nice guy.
Right.
We always thought he was such a nice guy. No, you don't. You just don't. There's
Or
no,
like happens in Utah, if a guy murders his wife and his children and himself, you don't have a freaking obituary in which you talk about what a wonderful husband and father.
No,
he
you
was.
take that
And
line
that happened
out.
recently.
That one doesn't make its way past the beginning template. It doesn't go any further. So
yeah. Well, Utah's complicated. Utah is complicated.
yeah.
And,
Tell me why it's no. Give me in one word. Tell me why it's complicated.
Well, one word.
Read my lips. Are you watching?
Yeah, read his lips.
It's
I'm actually not.
4 syllables. Could
Four
be 5,
syllables.
depending on how you pronounce
Starts
it.
with M.
Yeah. MX. No. Mormonism.
That's it. It explains any anomaly.
That word. That word.
Mhm.
Oh, that one. So here's my question for you. I want to get off that thing because now all these other people talking has made me think of something else. There's just something I need to ask the two of you because you're so different from me. I've told you before one time when I called before. Mormon forever, right? Me. And
we're
related
different from each
to
other
so
too.
many, so.
I have a bow tie
But
on.
you guys came to it as you came to it as 18-year-olds, is that right?
Yes, I did, and I think Bill was a similar age.
When
17.
17.
18?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep, 18,
what?
17.
What could they have told you?
Because
at
God
18?
had spoken once again, lady.
Because it was true, damn it.
You?
Oh,
I don't understand.
they told me to read it and to pray about
from
it.
the time you're a child. Hmm?
They told me to read it
Oh,
and to
you
pray
pray-
about it,
oh,
and that
that's
my
right.
emotions were how I
That's
could
right.
know something was true. That my emotions were
That's
the truth,
right. You
sir.
got that feeling.
Yeah.
You got that feeling.
Have you never been a Mormon?
Okay. Yes.
Have you never been a
But
Mormon?
here's
I'm
the other
sorry, because
thing.
I want to be clear on this.
Have I been a Mormon?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking?
Yep.
Yes.
There's not a more Mormon person in Utah than me.
And you can't
you
understand
thought
why we
my-
would be baptized at 18 and 17?
If you saw the great grandparents on every side of me, you would go and pray for me. You would be sorry for me. But no. At 18, if I hadn't been a Mormon, there is no way. And maybe it's because so many of my friends weren't Mormons and they thought we were all nuts.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. But
We
here's
were a
the deal.
peculiar
Here's the
people.
deal. All right.
Yeah.
So very peculiar. So I could buy, you get the feeling, you read the Book of Mormon, you get this feeling, your whole family, everybody, well, not you guys, but my family. But when you went to the temple the first time,
It was a baker's convention.
I haven't talked to one single person, Mormon, non-Mormon, ex-Mormon, who, if I really put it to them, didn't say they wanted to run the minute they got in there and saw what it was about. Run away.
Yeah.
Run away.
I was built differently
And
than that
nobody
human.
does.
Yeah, we were made of sterner
Wasn't it like
stuff.
that for you?
That's right.
No,
Didn't it make
was
you
cool.
Didn't it just,
It was
It
so
was.
cool, especially the penalties.
I
because
wouldn't have
that
felt the
made it
same.
really like boyhood clubhouse stuff. I loved it. The
Yeah.
penalties.
well, that's it. It was like junior
secret
high
group.
putting on
Yes.
a play at school.
Yes.
It's the most juvenile, banal, silly thing ever.
It-
I think that covers
That
it.
didn't okay. I guess that's enough.
no, I think you nailed it. I
3
think it was
words
a
to
great phone
describe
call.
the temple endowment.
Well, thank you,
I
caller.
think it's a huge hoax. So,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
right. Thank you.
It was pretty apparent
Have
to you,
fun
is what I'm
tomorrow.
gathering. Yes. RFM, how come we didn't see it sooner?
there are so many things that have happened in my life that I could say the same thing about.
Yeah.
And other people could say it about me, I'm sure.
Yeah, we all do think different. I just wanted it to be true, and I was going to fight like hell to make sure that I got there.
I knew it was true. Damn it.
Yeah.
I trusted the leaders. I trusted the Book of Mormon. I trusted the orthodox, sanitized, whitewashed, one-sided narrative that I was fed. And it was one of the very hardest things in my life. There's some maybe personal things that are certainly up there, but as far as a religious or philosophical thing, this was one of the hardest things in my life, was finding out that the Mormon church was not what it was represented to me to be when I joined at the age of 18.
Yeah, if I would have come to you, RFM, and I would have said, hey, the church isn't true. You believe it. And somehow I convince you the church isn't true because you just know I'm a truth teller. You just know it. It's automatic. It's a given. If I said, now I want you to imagine how much evidence there is that it isn't true, would you ever guess the mountains and mountains of arguments and evidence and data and documents that run counter to the most rational view that Mormonism is true? Like I never would have expected the number of problems that I encountered, and yet it really takes an overwhelming amount before your brain sees it as crossing a threshold when reasonable and rational is way behind you.
I know. And I will tell you, I think it's a great observation. That is the problem with investing oneself in Mormon apologetics. Because in order to know the answers to all the criticisms, you have to know the criticisms and the basis for the criticisms. And that's the problem. Because there aren't one or two or three. They're not misunderstandings. They're not things taken out of context. They're not half-truths. That's what the Mormon church deals in telling its members. What these things are part of the historical record. They are complete truths, and they are devastating to the Mormon church. And there's hundreds of them. There's hundreds of them. This is why when Mormon authorities get up there in general conference or in other venues and talk to you about why it is you shouldn't be concerned about anti-Mormon literature or podcasts, they do not talk about the actual issues involved. They just say, don't listen to them. They don't talk about the issues because they know if they start talking about the issues, they're going to lose. And that is obviously a position that's coming from a defensive kind of posture. And it's defensive because they know it's the weak side of the argument. They don't want to get into the facts. So they just say, we don't want to get into the facts. We'll give an argument that has nothing to do with the facts, and that ends up with you not listening to the other side of the story, which ironically, the other side of the story is based in the actual documents that were produced by the Mormon church over the past 200 years.
Yeah. And it's not just that, that the history doesn't add up. It's not just that there are hundreds of issues, as you just said, that it doesn't. It's that in order to keep people at distance from those hundreds of issues, there's also hundreds of instances of LDS leaders using deception and obfuscation to keep the person that is within reach of their commentary or their thoughts from having a significant amount of distance between them and the data and the documents and the historical issues. And so it's not just a matter of the history being hundreds and hundreds of problems. It's that there's hundreds and hundreds of times of dishonesty and deception and obfuscation, which is a whole nother issue on its own, which also hits right at the core of Mormonism.
And which we're going to cover on Mormonism Live this coming Wednesday evening.
Yeah, at 6:20. So, folks, the next caller we've got, I don't have a name for, so we'll ask here. Caller, what's the name?
Oh.
Hello?
This is Ted, Bill.
Ted, how are you? Go ahead.
Hello?
You're on Mormonism After Dark.
All right, thank you. I'm going to be quick.
I'm going to hold you to
The
that.
beginning of the. All right, yeah, we'll do. So I missed the beginning of it, and I wasn't really going to comment on it. I have something else that I was going to say, but seeing as though the last few words that you guys were saying, I'm going to say liars, cheaters, and exaggerators. Well, I'll never call them prophets, but
so instead of prophets, seers, and revelators.
Yes, that is prophecies and revelators. What are the three things?
Liars, cheaters, and exaggerators.
That's really good. I think I'm going to create a thumbnail tomorrow for that. That's pretty good. Liars, cheaters, and exaggerators. Every one of those is demonstrable, by the way.
I think it all is, but anyways. But no, I called in, like I made a backdrop and everything, and I can't get online with you guys. Like, was that something that you only did like a couple of days? Because I can't. I got my computer set up, I got my backdrop down, and I can't get online with you guys.
What do you? I'm confused. You're online with us right now, aren't you?
No, sir. No, I mean, I have my laptop with my video feed.
You can't get us online. Are you talking about? I guess I'm confused. Do you understand what he's saying, RFM?
Well, I think he said he can't get in on the video link. Is that what you're saying, Ted?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Oh,
yeah,
I got
right.
you. So I can put it back in there again. We've had people in the show, so I wonder if maybe there was a space after the last character or something.
No, yeah, I know that you did. And when I go, so you have it now. Okay. Well, I can take a picture of that, but I don't need to bother you guys today, but because I know you guys want to.
But let's try to make sure we got it fixed for next time, and like maybe it's something on our end, and if it is, then we obviously want to address that. So
answer me this, Bill. Like, is that feed that I'm seeing right now, is that good every time?
No, everyone is different week to week. Yeah.
Oh,
and by the way, you would say like that. By the way, I can have it be the other way. We've just run into issues where people try to get into the show on a Sunday or something, and giving them some way to sort of get into a live feed seems like it's just going to procrastinate their misery, because now they're going to be stuck for a half an hour in the bottom of a show that's not even running for the moment. And so I think it's better to use a different feed each time.
Okay, that's fine. But so when I log in, I don't know how to get this link that you're sending or that you just put back online. I don't know how to get it.
Yeah. The only way you would get is in each show, it's in the live chat, but also I try to put it in the YouTube description as well. I've sometimes forgotten that, but I think at least 3 out of the last 4 weeks I've remembered to do that. And so I think down in the YouTube description, that URL is sitting there.
Okay. There's some discussion in the live chat about whether you farted.
I did not. If there is a noise, then my chair made a squeak or whatever, but that's also what someone who farted would say.
Yes.
So
you smelt it, dealt it.
Yeah. Well, Teddy's still asleep, so I don't think
it was the dog. You're blaming the dog.
No, I'm saying that if I farted, that dog would have woke up for sure. Oh boy. All right. Well,
speaking of dogs, that was one thing.
Go ahead.
That was one thing I was going to say. Like, I was going to discuss some things in the Mormonism or the Book of Mormon, and then I was going to discuss some things about like Joseph Smith. And one thing, like, so we know he was a treasure digger, but nobody says like anything about like he was killing the dogs, he was killing the pets,
cut the sheep and dogs' throats. Yeah. Yes, that's the praise to the man.
All right, gentlemen, that's all I got.
Okay, have a great night.
Thanks, Ted. If you're gonna make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs. That's what I say.
Now I see we've got a person in the stream there below, but we do have a caller that's been on longer, so I'm going to really quick take them.
Gosh. By the way, we're 1 hour and 34 minutes.
Yeah, we're wanting to sort of.
Excuse me. Oh my gosh, maybe I did fart. No, I did burp, but I didn't fart.
Okay, what?
I didn't hear a fart.
No, yeah, on my side either, correct? Like, don't just go siding with him.
I know, because when I fart, I hit the mute button.
Right, and whereas I just explained it away with some other issue going on in the studio.
You blame your dog.
Right, and the chair.
Oh, God.
Okay, Tim, go ahead.
Well, this isn't Tim Rathbone.
Well, I want, again, because we know what happened.
This is the second call in one night?
Well, no, I wanted to talk about D's or Dies, or however you say his name.
All right, but okay, go ahead, but be quick, my friend. Remember the last caller said he was going to be quick.
I find him verbose and abusive at times, and I don't quite understand what his thing is.
I don't
And
know.
he just goes on and on about
Yeah.
stuff, you know. I mean, I try to watch him, and it's just not that watchable.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
and I didn't see what he did to Steve, but I saw the one he did with you, and I thought that was insulting. And then I saw the other one with Signature Books, and I thought, you know, this guy's really getting to the edge. And
yeah.
so,
Yeah. It seems as though wherever the line should be that we collectively agree on, he's past it.
oh, I think he passed it with you, with the one with you guys, and then with Signature and about DeVry and or Devery, you know.
Certainly
Devery,
by those
yeah.
latter two, those definitely.
Every I know how to pronounce.
Yeah.
Yeah, Devery. Yeah.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate that.
I just want. Sure. Yeah, that's what I really call it for.
Well, there you go. You nailed
got
it.
off track.
Thank you for calling back and including that comment. I appreciate that, Tim.
All right, Tim is gone, and our other guy down there
Oh,
went
no.
away. He
David.
left. Yep. The rapture happened, RFM, and you and I are still here.
Oh shit! Everybody who's
David.
still here, you are in deep doo doo.
Yeah, well, at least for David.
David, look, I feel bad. Are you able, David? Are you watching? Are you out there, David? If so, can you click the link? Can you come back in? I feel bad because you weren't down there anywhere near as long as Diamond Dave, but I still feel bad.
Yeah, if you jump in the next, say, 11 seconds, we'll add you into the stream. And we're about 7 now. What do you think? 3?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
He looked like an individual who had something important to say.
As most individuals who call our show do.
If I had a Ouija board right now, I would try and get a message from Dave.
Yeah, and you might talk to the minions of hell too in the process. So I'm not 100% convinced that there's not something to them, you know?
I just gotta get a message to you. By the way, did you get the line about you send one of ours to the hospital, we send one of yours to the morgue, or you send one of theirs to the morgue?
Yeah, like if somebody hurts your person, you kill theirs.
Sean Connery, Untouchables.
Oh, I didn't know it was. I thought maybe it was A Few Good Men. You need me on that wall. You want me on that wall. And there's like the whole Crystal.
Yes.
Yeah, Crystal.
That's great. That's a great scene too. It is. I like your. Was that your Jack Nicholson?
Yeah, sure, I guess. I don't really know. It was just a different voice than mine, but I couldn't do Tom Cruise, so I had to at least try the Jack part. Yes.
Okay, well, I'm not seeing David materialize.
No, so we should probably
I'm sorry,
call it a night.
David. I apologize on behalf of Bill, who must have screwed up and accidentally dropped you in some way.
It's at least 80% my fault.
See, we can take responsibility for our actions.
Or at least most of it.
And apologize.
I'm sorry.
I can apologize for you, and you can apologize for me.
And then you should apologize probably for me again.
Yeah, remember that guy that everybody got upset with me because I started interrogating him when he called into the Mormonism live show about a year ago?
There's been a couple phone calls I sort of remember, and that one sort of stands out.
I don't know. It's just when somebody doesn't answer my question,
Yeah.
it's like it's blood in the water, and I just go on attack.
Well, it is your livelihood. I mean, you've been asking the next question to people under a lot of pressure sitting on the stand for a long time.
I just want people to answer my question.
And
if
then
they don't, then I go, I want to bring them back to the question. And then if they're skittering, now I really want to bring them back to the question. And some people thought I was over the top. And actually I said, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. And then I went home and Wendy said, yes, you were.
You were. And you did an episode and you made amends to him.
I did. I called him. I got his contact information
Yes.
somehow.
Yep.
And reached out to him, had a couple of phone calls with him. But the first
Yeah.
one, I just wanted to apologize to him and let him know I didn't mean to be offensive, but obviously I was.
Yeah.
And so I apologized for it.
Yeah. You're a good person and you're fair. So like it's, yeah, if you did something wrong, like I've watched you do that a few times where you make it right. And
see, there's Wendy saying, yes, you were.
Yes, there she is.
Now we got Ted Smith below. Okay, hang on a second. You want to put
Ted's
him on the
making it
stage?
for David. What's
Because I want
that?
to ask Ted what he's done with David.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Ted, what have you done with David?
Let's see. That was the wrong question. Now you and I are going to vanish about 4 a.m. tonight.
David, I didn't do anything with David.
Well, that's what I would expect you to say.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay. Go ahead.
RFM.
Hey.
Oh, why is this off time?
I don't know. There's a delay, but you just go ahead and ask your question, and then we'll talk over you with our answer, and then it'll be just perfect.
No, I was just gonna say to RFM, like, how is that not like he didn't even crack a smile when I said that Joseph was like killing the dogs, he was killing the pets,
slitting the sheep's throats, lest you should suffer your life.
How come I didn't crack a smile? Because I don't think it's funny, damn it.
No, it's a
Do you
poor
think
little
that's
animal.
funny? Do you think animal abuse is funny?
Spencer Kimball would not like it.
Do I need to call the SCPA on you?
Me or
the
Ted?
SPCA. The SPCA. I'm dyslexic.
Me or Ted?
No, it's not funny at all. That's what I'm saying. Like that. This is worse than the phone. Like I'm so far out of time with you guys. But
yeah,
the lady from Australia was better than you.
Okay. This isn't working.
You go ahead. You have the floor. You have the floor. I'll be quiet, and Bill will be quiet, and you say your piece. Okay.
Mom is the word.
No, you guys are the show's gone on for too long, and I wanted to be like right in sync with you guys, but this is worse.
Well, thank you, Ted. Thank you for the call.
All right.
Oh, dang.
Oh my goodness, that was a fun call.
Nothing like a call coming in at 1:40 when we're usually over at 1:30, and that means an hour and 30 minutes, and complaining that the show is going too long. But Ted, hopefully you'll call in next week and you'll be able to say what it is that you want to say. I really appreciate your wall decor, which I noticed behind you. It looks like you're decorating an early Marvel, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
It even had little lights around the picture of all the Marvel superheroes. That was really cool.
Yeah, I won't say anything to that. That is cool though. What a fun night. That was a lot of fun conversation. I really got lots of chuckles. I learned things, and I got to hang out with my friend, Mr. Radio Free Mormon.
Yes. Yes. It was a great night. And I really enjoy this night. I enjoy this show, Mormonism After Dark, which we abbreviate to the MAD show, MAD, Mormonism After Dark. And just thanks to everybody for joining us, for watching. We have a great time. And hopefully you'll join us next week, which I hope will be next Friday. It's always a little bit tentative, but it's going to be next Friday, isn't it, Bill, at 8:00 p.m. Mountain Time?
That's the plan, Stan. Yes, 8:00 p.m. next Friday night.
Yes, Mosiah says it's a mad world, baby. It's even a mad world.
So there's that. Anything else, RFM? Otherwise,
no, that's it. I'm hankering to get out of this monkey suit.
Well, let's do it. Good night, everybody.
Good night.